You're watching the YouTube version of the We Are Innovation podcast. Join us as we explore how innovation, new technologies, and human creativity improve our lives. The future is calling.
Hi, I'm Federico Fernández. Welcome to a new episode of the We Are Innovation podcast. Today, we're going to talk about the uses of AI to promote values and ideas. And also a little bit about taxation in Turkey, and particularly a very recent report that the Objectivist Network has published, but we'll talk about that later. And for all these things, I am accompanied by Ahmet Arpa. Ahmet is the Director of International Programs at the Objectivist Network. He has worked and volunteered for several Turkish and international liberal libertarian NGOs since 2015. His professional experiences include working as the programs coordinator at the Association for Liberal Thinking, ALT, Liberté Publishing, several roles with an intergovernmental organization, as well as the position of editor-in-chief for an academic journal. Moreover, the Turkey-based Objectivist Network is a partner of We Are Innovation, and we're very happy to conduct this interview with them, and we're very happy to have them as key members of our network. Ahmet, welcome to the We Are Innovation podcast.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
No, it's our pleasure, really. Thank you. We appreciate your presence. We know you're quite busy, so we really appreciate your time. And just to begin with, and so we can all be on the same page, so to speak, I would like you to tell us, who was Ayn Rand, and how your organization, the Objectivist Network, incorporates her philosophy in the work you do.
Yeah, so Ayn Rand was an American novelist and philosopher, and the creator of Objectivism, which she described as a philosophy for living on Earth. Her most famous novels, I assume most people know, are Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead. Both of her novels highlight the value of thinkers and producers, or as we would like to say, the innovators. She had also written some nonfiction books, The Virtue of Selfishness, Capitalism, The Unknown Ideal, and several other articles as well. And in these nonfiction books, she detailed why reason, self-interest, individualism, and capitalism are important. And according to Ayn Rand, happiness is the moral purpose of our lives. Productive achievement is our most noble activity, and reason is our only absolute. An Objectivist Network was founded in Turkey 4 years ago based on this principle, and it's established to introduce people to this philosophy through Ayn Rand's original works and creating an intellectual community around her ideas. Our mission statement is fostering a network of critical thinkers, scholars, and innovators to inspire a shift towards reason, individualism, and capitalism. So Objectivist Network was founded 4 years ago in Ankara, Turkey, based on these principles to introduce people to this philosophy called Objectivism through Ayn Rand's original works and creating an intellectual community around these ideas. Our mission statement is fostering a network of critical thinkers, scholars, and innovators to inspire a shift towards reason and individualism and capitalism. We are basically organizing educational activities for university students, such as seminars, conferences, reading groups. We also have some academic programs for academicians. We are working on video productions, and we had a little bit of activity in the countries around Turkey. Not to brag, but I would like to say that we have been doing a pretty good job since we were established 4 years ago. Now it's one of the most well-known pro-liberty non-governmental organizations in Turkey.
Yeah, no, I can testify you're doing an amazing job. And well, one of the great programs and topics and projects you have and you're dealing with is what I want to talk to you about mainly today, which is a chatbot that you have started some time ago, relatively recently, which allows, I mean, thanks to technology and, and your work and innovation, allows, let's say, people to chat with Ayn Rand. So let's, to begin with, how does this work? How do you incorporate her work, the objectivist principles into the chatbot? Tell us a little bit about it, please.
So Chat with Ayn Rand is a chatbot that we started to develop a few years ago. It's currently available on our website. We also had a WhatsApp version, which we had to shelve because of, the challenges in development, but we will make it available again soon. It's basically a chatbot that emulates Ayn Rand's use of language, syntax, and her style in order to generate responses that feels like talking to her directly. It actually started as a side project, an experiment back when the large language models proved capable a couple of years ago. And it's currently based on GPT-4, which wasn't even available to the public back when we first started. So we had to apply for the closed beta with our use case, and luckily it was approved by the OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT and this GPT-4 technology. We quickly prepared the proof of concept, which was working a lot better than we expected initially. And we aim to emulate Ayn Rand's use of language, syntax, and rhetoric in order to, accurately capture her intellectual and literary style. I think maybe we are not 100% there. There is always room for improvement, but it is as close as it gets. And, one of our priorities when we first started was obviously to evaluate its intellectual capacity and understanding its ability to discuss in-depth philosophical and academic concepts or ethical, questions. Luckily, the model we are using is, it knows about Ayn Rand's works already. So our job was mostly about fine-tuning the responses and testing it to challenge the limits of the chatbot as much as possible, so that we could identify the areas in which it falls short.
We live in an era that it seems that sci-fi is becoming reality. Before interviewing you, I was watching a video on YouTube of OpenAI has limitedly release a new service. I believe it's called Sora, that allows you to create videos, with prompts. Like you interact with ChatGPT, but you just give a prompt and it creates a totally AI generated video. The results are amazing. And what the YouTuber was highlighting is that this is the first iteration. Let's say this is the worst we are going to see, and it's already amazing. So my question, and sorry for this long, road to it. Do you envision in the future something like, we are now, by the way, communicating via Zoom. Do you think that in not a distant future, people will be able to talk to your chatbot, like talking and maybe seeing some sort of AI representation of Ayn Rand?
Actually, it's possible even today. And as you said, yesterday I saw some news about Google's new large language model, and apparently it has a context length of 1 million tokens. And even for videos, it can, process videos up to 2 hours, which is amazing. Even with today's technology, it's somewhat possible to, talk to someone directly. But the thing is that actually we had an offer to try it with our chatbot to integrate a similar project with ours, but I didn't find it, let's say, stylish enough to talk to someone who is already dead. Maybe in the future, I don't know, because as the AI progresses, all our views on it also changes quickly. Like maybe the things we see weird or novel today will be very normal tomorrow. But the thing is that it's something maybe in the future. like it's not something I would like to do today.
There are people already who are, people who are living today that are trying to create their own, let's say, chatbots. So, either they can be in meetings, present in meetings that, they cannot attend because of whatever reason. And in some cases, even with the explicit, objective of, let's say, be able to interact with, I don't know, their grandchildren or people like that, when they are not in this world anymore. But well, we'll see what happens. But yeah, as you said, this is going to become more and more normal, whether we like it or not. And regarding Ahmed, regarding do you have any ideal user for the chat, in the sense it was thought for, let's say, newcomers to Ayn Rand and objectivist ideas? Is it like for experts as well? Who's your ideal user if you have one?
So we had several objectives when we started to develop the chatbot. When we started, we dreamed about a tool that will help our audiences to discover Rand's ideas accurately and encourage people to read her books, particularly for the newcomers. And for the more academically inclined people, let's say, we wanted it to give clarification about complicated concepts in objectivism, and of course facilitate in-depth exploration of the ideas, and of course a little bit of light-hearted fun as well. So basically, like our first two most important audiences are newcomers and the academicians, let's say. But the thing is that both of these audiences expect things differently. And as I said, this was let's say an experiment for us when we first started. We didn't know where it was going and how we could utilize it. To be honest, as much as I like to tinker with these AI models, I'm not fully on board the current hype train, because it's still hard to come up with an original product that offers something original, an original value that's not offered by those companies who are developing these models. So, I think the hard part is to figure out who are going to use it and why should they prefer your service over, let's say, ChatGPT, for example, or Google's Bard.
And in that regard, what does your model offers, to people who are interested in getting a better knowledge, a better understanding of Ayn Rand's ideas, compared to other large language models who have access to a lot of data? Now, sorry, this is a tangent, but I don't know how the access to certain books has become with ChatGPT, for instance, because I have asked a couple of summaries of certain books, and it gave me a summary of a summary, not something that you could see it was coming from the book. But regardless, what are let's say the specific things, the very cool things that your chatbot, which, by the way, I will put a link on the description of the episode, offers to people who want to know more about Ayn Rand compared to ChatGPT or other alternatives?
So basically, our chatbot is very carefully crafted. And as I said, the model already knew about the books of Ayn Rand. So, let's say the basics were there, the foundations were there. But the thing is that, it was giving a lot of factually incorrect responses. And maybe, the biggest challenge with the AI models is hallucinating, which is when the model is giving factually incorrect responses with a very confident attitude, and you cannot easily tell if it's correct or if it's just hallucinating. Regarding that, there was not much we could do because it's the nature of these models. But we try to use the most developed models and giving clear and direct context to ensure it sticks to the original works of Ayn Rand when responding to the questions. And additionally, when we were testing the bot, we noticed the information, the knowledge the chatbot didn't know about, and or maybe it was misinterpreting some of the information. So we have decided to use a vector database, which is which is basically a database which stores the data sources in a mathematical format that can be understood by the model. Like there are other methods to achieve a similar result, but this was the easiest for our use case. And after a lot of testing, we particularly tried to break the bot, because I don't know why, but people on the internet, they like to, mess with these tools. And even now we monitor some of the chats and we see people trying to, manipulate it into giving some bad answers. So we try to correct it as much as possible. We have a large database now. We use sources from our partners in the Prometheus Foundation, from the Objective Standard Institute, from Arpa, and some colleagues also helped us to test it. And particularly the complex concepts, it was giving very simple answers, let's say. For a newcomer, that's okay, but for someone who already read Ayn Rand, who already read Leonard Peikoff's books, it was not enough. So we identified these kind of topics and included them in our database to ensure that it gives responses that are factually correct. But of course, at the end of the day, it's not the real Ayn Rand. It's an emulation of it. So when you're using it, you should be aware that it still can make mistakes.
From a scale of 1 to 10, and I mean, I suppose, you're quite young, so I suppose you didn't interact with the real Ayn Rand, but what's your feeling? What's your feeling from 1 to 10? How close to the real Ayn Rand is it?
It is pretty close, but when it comes to the style, let's say it is. This GPT-4, for some reason, it is inclined to talk like an assistant. And it is very hard to, change the style and make it talk like a real person. And, from time to time, I noticed that it still tries to be overly helpful, which I assume a person like Ayn Rand wouldn't do. So, the biggest challenge is to make it talk like a real philosopher who is trying to explain her philosophy. But apart from that, I will say that it's very close to Ayn Rand, because we tested with a lot of edge cases, which I don't want to mention there and give people ideas, but we are very happy with the results, and we think that at least when it comes to the ideas, it captures the essence of objectivism.
Were there, because this has been a common criticism against ChatGPT in general, and also, and please, I know you are doing a very serious work and you're very committed to what you are doing. So, but how did you deal with the issue of biases, both from ChatGPT and try to avoid putting your own biases there, so it's as Randian as you could have?
This is a very important question, because this is something the whole sector is discussing about, and it's still a question that is not answered easily by even the biggest companies such as OpenAI, Google, Meta, whatever. The thing is that from our side, the best thing we could do was to make sure that it only sticks to the original works. We try to limit the interpretation as much as we can. The models provided by OpenAI, they have a parameter which controls the amount of creativity, let's say. It's not directly creativity, but it increases the possibility that it will use something new. We reduced it as much as possible because we didn't want it to get very creative, let's say. So basically what our bot is doing, that it receives the question, it compares it to our vector database and see if there's something relevant there, and try to stick to the original cause as much as possible. And if you use it today, you will notice that it gives a lot of quotes and tries to answer with the cause as much as possible. Apart from that, as I said, there's not much we can do. It's not under control. And it's a very big question that will be hard to answer for the big corporations who are working in that area. You know, with the recent advancements in these AI technologies, I believe these tools will change the way that we interact with the content on the internet. Very much like how social media shifted our attentions away from the websites and the online forums. And the thing is that we will use internet differently. Maybe we will not even use Google anymore. We will use the tools such as this one. And in order to catch these trends, we have to start experimenting now. That's what we are doing with the Chat with Ayn Rand, and we also have a similar project that's on the way. And we have to come up with proper end products or proper concepts or proper ideas that are worth using over ChatGPT or these kind of tools. And I believe it's particularly crucial for NGOs like us who are active in the education sector, let's say. And you know, we should think about, is it an alternative to our educational activities? Like, is it an alternative to our seminars, conferences, our reading groups, whatever? Or is it a complementary tool? How can we use it? How can we utilize it? Not only for us, but also for our audiences. Why should they, like, why should, let's say, a student, a university student, should come to my website and use Chat with Ayn Rand instead of going to ChatGPT and try a similar result? Like, you have to provide a value. And, you know, we are open to different possibilities at the Objectivist Network. You know, we actually try to experiment with, you know, using our chatbot in one of our workshops. And we actually encourage the participants to get assistance from the chatbot. And we saw great results, to be honest. Like, there is no point in trying to prevent it. Like, when you give an assignment to a student, they will use it. Even I use it from time to time. So, like, there is no point in telling people that, oh, not use it. We should even encourage them to utilize this technology because it's already there and there's a value there. And on the other hand, we see some people, a lot of people actually, who don't attend our activities at all, but they're using it to learn about Ayn Rand's ideas without commitment to attending an in-person event, or, you know, maybe they're afraid of judgment from other people, whatever. It doesn't matter. But for us, we are experimenting. We are trying to figure out the best ways to utilize this technology in a meaningful way. And you know, the point is to build upon our experience and develop it iteratively, and, you know, find a meaningful end product.
What's the future for the Ayn Rand chatbot?
Yeah, so actually we are working on a project which is a lot more extensive, a lot more comprehensive than Chat with Ayn Rand. Of course, using our experience. And, you know, the example that you gave, it shows that chatbots are not the only ways to use this technology. There are, you know, a lot of other ways to, you know, use them to interact with our content, with our data sources. And this new project, as I said, the scope is a lot bigger, but unfortunately, I can't go into a lot of details. But let me tell you that this project, the new project, will provide a significantly better tool for our purposes, and it will also, you know, give new, let's say, novel or unorthodox ways to communicate with our local and global community.
Hopefully, we'll be talking about that project soon, and really looking forward to hearing about that. Before letting you go, a couple of just one more question about the chat, just one more simple, and then I want to ask you about this very important and interesting report on taxation in Turkey that your institute has just published. But just, I've been using the chat in English, as you can imagine. Unfortunately, I don't speak Turkish. I believe it's also available in Turkish. Is it available in any other language? Do you have plans for that? What are you thinking?
It's available in all the languages that OpenAI supports. and during the testing, we tried to, provide multi-language support as well. But unfortunately, the testing, the data validation phase, it requires a lot of manpower. And even with the help of our partners, some volunteers from Turkey, it took a lot of time. And the thing is that we gave up on, providing the same, of course, it answers the questions in Turkish and or other languages that OpenAI supports. But the thing is that we cannot guarantee the same level of quality because, as I said, it requires a tremendous amount of manpower.
And as I mentioned, you've just published, the Objectivist Network has just published a report titled A General Overview of the Turkish Tax System, the Burden of Economic Inefficiency on Wage Earners. And we'll be doing an episode about this report, probably just devoted to that. But if you can let us know a few things, particularly what's the picture that this report is showing about Turkey and about taxation in your country?
So we prepared this report within the framework of a project supported by our partners, Atlas Network. And the idea is to produce a report which also will be distributed to the policymakers as well. And we will organize several events in Turkey in order to publicize and ensure that this report is discussed in academic circles, in policymaking circles. The findings of the report are very interesting. We wanted to work on this topic because it's something that affects us personally. And as a, let's say, middle-class wage earner in Turkey, even I feel the effects of taxation. And I used to think that we are heavily taxed in Turkey. The reports found out that actually the tax levels are not that high compared to other OECD companies. Like Turkey is in the lower middle. But what's the problem there? The problem is that the Turkish government, they cannot collect taxes from all companies, all people. And when you look at the number of taxpayers, particularly income tax, you see that the number is surprisingly low in Turkey. Especially considering the academician who prepared this report, he is a political economist. He compared Turkey to some countries such as Ireland, Denmark, and such. The thing is that in Turkey, people do not pay taxes because the government is not trying to collect. The only people who pay taxes are those who cannot avoid it. And when you look from the perspective of the government, you need to collect some taxes, you need some revenue. You go after the easiest target, who are the wage earners. Because in Turkey, I don't know if it's similar in other countries, but in Turkey, for example, income tax is directly collected from your salary even before you receive it. And the thing is that you notice that there is a big informal sector in Turkey because, again, people are avoiding paying taxes. And I think the most interesting finding of the report is that this problem is not only about the tax system, and it's not easily fixed by changing a few tax laws in the country. The problem is about economic inefficiency in the Turkish economy, which affects low and middle classes. I'm using classes in a general way. Low and middle income classes a lot more than higher income people.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you today, and we'll be in touch for a lot of activities concerning We Are Innovation, what you are doing in your country. Hopefully soon we'll be able to interview the author of this tax report, which really seems very interesting, and there are a lot of things we'd like to discuss with our audience. And thank you everyone who tuned in to today's episode of the We Are Innovation podcast. If you enjoyed our conversation, please remember to subscribe on your preferred platform. Also, you can find and follow us on YouTube for more content, and we're looking forward to connecting with you in our next episode. Until then, keep innovating and expanding your horizons.
Thanks for watching this episode of the We Are Innovation podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe. To know more about We Are Innovation, visit weareinnovation.global.